Hello and good morning friends, welcome to the CEC EduSet live lecture. Dear friends, CEC, which is popularly known as Consortium for Educational Communication, is the inter-university center which has been set up by UGC, and we aim for imparting higher education throughout the country. Dear friends, this session of ours is sincerely dedicated to how CEC working for imparting education, that is in the area of higher education if we are talking about. And today our topic is also what is virtual education and how CEC is playing an important role in imparting education through the virtual media. And for this we have with us in our studio Dr. Shatruth Tomar. He is research scientist in CEC, that is Consortium for Educational Communication. If we talk about him, he is MPhil and PhD in mass communication, as well as he has contributed for various research papers which has been published in reputed journals. As well as if you talk about him, he has attended various conferences, seminars and workshops both at national and international level. So dear friends, first of all I would like to welcome Dr. Shatruth Tomar, research scientist, CEC. Hello sir, welcome to the EduSet lecture of ours, and as we are here to discuss more about how virtual education is growing and how it is attaining new paradigms, I would like to know from you how CEC is playing a crucial role in virtual education.
Thank you, Geetika. Virtual education is the future of India. It's very important that our country devote resources to virtual education. First, we can understand what is virtual education, and before that we can take a look over what is virtual indeed. Virtual, we have in India, education is an important industry as well as an important part of learning. In order to appreciate the education, we need to have virtual in order to address all the needs of our students. India, you know, is very diverse in geography. It's very much diversified in culture, in society, and even in languages. In order to address all the diversities, we need to devote our resources towards virtual. What is virtual? Virtual is actually a space created through computers and networks and internet. The virtual resides in cables and wires. Virtual is an space technologically created and imagined in our brains. How does it help in education? Now, as I just told you, that India is a diverse country, and the reach and access of education is an important issue here. In order to maximize the reach of our educational content, we need to invest heavily in technology and in virtual education. And in order to ensure the access of those inputs, media inputs, we need to have we need to invest heavily in the resources, not only in technological resources but also in human resources. Education is becoming the technocratized society nowadays. Education is very important because, you know, society is turning very much technocratized. Everything is depending upon technology and its usage. We are talking about technological literacy also. We are talking about literacy, but we are also talking about technological literacy nowadays. Nobody can deny that our society is going towards technocratization, and technology also leads to democratization of education. It's very important to understand here what is democratization of education. Democratization means you have the freedom to access education, you have the freedom to imagine, you have the freedom to talk about various things, and you have the freedom to share your ideas with as much as a number of people as you want. That is called democratization of education. You have access to education, that is democratization of education, and you have unhindered access to education, that is democratization of education. Education is available to each and every sections of society, to its individuals, that is democratization of education, and virtual education allows us to do that. It allows us to address all our sections of society which might be lagging behind in the allocation of educational resources. So it's a way out of it's a sort of democratizing of education through being achieved through virtual education. In our next point, we can understand, I just discussed also, we can understand the virtual world. It's computer-based online community environment designed and shared by individuals so that they can interact in a custom-built simulated world. Also, the virtual is an experience, it's interactive and immersive, which is closest to the real. Now, virtual is closest to the real. Virtual means getting interactive, virtual means getting immersive, virtual means an imagined atmosphere, an imagined space created through cables and internets. So virtual worlds are very useful tool for ensuring the reach and access of education in diversified India. Now we have few issues in technology enhanced learning. We agree, and some researches have also shown that if learning is accompanied by technology, the process of learning becomes very important and it becomes very crucial. Implementation of technologies. Technologies are emerging newer and newer areas, and it's very pertinent that we implement those technologies for the service of our rendering education to the large masses of India. Effectiveness of the tool with respect to the objective, it's being proven very effective. The tools of virtual learning, they are proved to be very effective in the dissemination of ideas and thoughts. We can talk about need gap. What is the need of virtual education in India? India, as I have just told you, it's very diversified. There is digital divide, we have problem of digital divide, we have economical and financial divide, we have social divide. We must admit that, and we need to address those concerns and issues pertinently. So there is a gap of quality education in India, we must admit. We cannot afford to flew the teachers from first world like America, England, and we can through this virtual education we can them interact. We can bring a teacher virtually, we can import the teacher virtually from England to our Indian universities, and students can get to interact with the particular professor who might be the specialized expert in his own field or in her own field. The biggest challenge continues to be reaching individuals and groups that are undeserved with educational services due to lack of adequate access and connectivity, especially in the case of developing nations. We are talking about virtual education, and we are talking about virtual education in the context of developing nations. We must also take note of the fact that virtual education is also spreading fast in the first world, in the developed world. Here the virtual education, there the virtual education is being used as a supplementary method of traditional education. There has been a debate like whether to use virtual education as an important tool in the field of dissemination of ideas. Due to diversified demography and landscape of India, sharing of best educational resources at one place with the others becomes pertinent. Also, the need are being felt at the workplaces and the population at large for continuous learning to update existing knowledge and skills and stay on top of the advancements in knowledge. Also, it's very important that decision makers are under pressure from public opinion to be up to date, and that they should adopt the latest educational innovations in our traditional education system. We can talk about virtual education contours. We are talking about integration of ICTs, information and communication technologies, which is a radical innovation and requires building a solid base of knowledge and commitment, interacting with interest groups, generating and testing different options, experimentation, planning for large-scale implementation, critical mass application, and a mind open to modification and adjustment. This is very important that we consider these things in the context of virtual education in India. Now, learners in a virtual system, they should need to know how to use the technology. If they don't know how to use the technology, our point of expanding the horizon of virtual education becomes irrelevant. We need to bring the students from all strata in the fold of virtual education so that they can know how to process the information, how to assess and assimilate the information properly and efficiently to their needs. Now the paradigm of education in India is changing entirely due to the fact that the diffusion of information and communication technologies in all walks of our life. The challenge is to align learning technologies with sound pedagogy and instruction design and to try to do with virtual systems of delivery what could not be done with conventional methods. Here is a debate between traditional method and the new method. New method is being generated on account of virtual technologies, information and communication technologies, which is available through internet, computers, and nowadays technologies are being converged. They are available on a converged platform. Like you have a mobile phone, you can make a call through mobile phone, you can click pictures, you can listen to music, you can listen to podcasts, you can access the educational websites. You have the power of an entire technological spectrum in your one palm, that is the mobile phone. It's recreating the history, it's redefining the paradigm of education in India, it's redefining the reach of educational content in India mainly through ICTs. Now we can look at the comparative analysis of traditional classrooms and e-learning. In the traditional classroom, we have a limitation of space, limitation of resources, limitation of time, and limitation of infrastructure. While in the case of e-learning, there is unlimited space, time is not a factor at all. We can access the e-content from anywhere, virtually anytime, though the viewer is empowered thus. If we talk about content in traditional classroom or in traditional scope of education, the content basically is available through PowerPoint. We can dictate lectures, we can dictate notes, we can distribute away notes. We can have textbooks, physical textbooks, concrete textbooks available as a hard copy. We have libraries for that. We can show videos. But in the case of e-learning, we have multimedia simulation. Multimedia simulation enhances the speed of your understanding. We have digital library. We are no longer bound by the access system of hardbound books available in traditional library. We have digital libraries. We can download or we can refer a book within seconds, even through our mobile phones, as I was just saying, or iPad, or in any case it may be computer also. So we can access the content on demand. The viewer or the receiver is the sole king of the education. Everything is at his or her disposal. Secondly, the important part is personalization. In traditional classrooms, we don't have much scope for personalization of the content. But in case of e-learning, we can personalize the content we can customize the content according to our needs, according to our requirements, and according to our timings. So we have we are in great benefit because e-learning is the newest, traditional, and the fastest and customized way of getting education. Changing delivery modes. We have a huge student population. So in order to address the needs of the huge student population, we need more virtual universities. We have virtual institutions not in a great number, but the number of virtual institutions are increasing. Even our neighbor Pakistan has a virtual university, and the countries like Canada, USA, they are already have a great pool of virtual universities or virtual institutions. India is also moving fast on the track of getting virtual universities and virtual institutions. We are already working on the virtual content. Increase in tuition fees. We can avoid the tuition fees, hefty tuition fees that we have to pay through traditional educational infrastructure and traditional institutions. But in case of e-learning, the fees is not there, or it might be minimal. Normally, what we have found that traditional educational institutions, they lack in infrastructure and they lack in facilities and funding. We have a centralized mode of e-content production and distribution through virtual education that can easily tackle the problem of lack of facilities and quality education in our traditional education system. Thus, e-learning is a blended mode. We are talking about chalk and board in traditional classrooms. In smart classrooms or the classrooms being operated in virtual environment, they have interactive digital content. We have on-demand learning. The system is more interactive, and the system is more customized. This is the symptoms of our society. Our society is becoming fast, is evolving fast as information society. We are developing as knowledge society, and we are also being developed as competitive society. So in the case of all these developments, it becomes necessary that we concentrate our pools regarding virtual education so that we can realize the full potential of being an information society. Information society is the future of tomorrow. We cannot avoid that, and we cannot rather afford to miss the bus. Information society is a society in which the members are well connected. Through wireless, through cables, and through all the ICT systems. In knowledge society, so knowledge is very important. Knowledge runs the engine of economy in the knowledge society. With the level of time, with the span of time, in 2020, our society will be evolving as competitive society, and we have to take care of that. And this can be achieved through the use of ICT in virtual education. Certainly, we have benefits of virtual education. It's a sort of self-service. It's on demand. We can access the educational content virtually from anywhere and any time. It's personalized. It's self-paced. It's customized in the sense that a learner has a different pace of learning. So we can adjust the pace of learning according to one's need. It's flexible. It can be distributed into different learning capsules and learning packages. It's flexible. And definitely the HR cost and the cost of production of hard material, it can be avoided. It's a centralized system of distributing the online content at a nominal cost. That cost regarding travel, accommodations, and the hiring of experts from outside our country will be drastically reduced. It promotes hybriding of education. All the experts from all the countries, they can come, they can generate content on a common platform, and the common knowledge could be distributed among the students through virtual education. We can control the content. Definitely, we do not want to bound the content by a central authority, but the content that is developed, it can be centrally distributed, and the highest standards of production could be monitored. We have high quality content for all, and we have same high quality of education for all. These are some of the benefits of going virtual in the field of education. There are some also benefits, other benefits also. It's easier to understand and is more engaging. It is said that a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. We can understand more by visually examining an object or a phenomena. Suppose if there is a topic regarding Big Bang explosion, it's very difficult to understand the magnanimity of the process of the phenomena that was Big Bang. And if the Big Bang is being created through visuals, through graphics, it becomes very easy for the students and the learners to imagine what the Big Bang was. It's repeatable. Anytime you can make a lecture repeat, anytime, anywhere. It's easier to monitor progress. We have some learning management systems. Through those learning management systems, we can continually assess ourselves, we can continually assess our progress in the in education, in what we are learning. We can think about some e-learning tools. Through chats we can indulge, through emails we can indulge. There are many online forums on which we can discuss the educational content, through websites, through video conferences, and through numerous other methods that are available across the various platforms such as mobile phones and internet and computers, and nowadays even televisions are getting smart, and there is a little difference between a television and a computer or laptop. Learning management system. It's a mechanism of controlling and accessing educational content basically. What it does is it manages content so that it categorizes content so that we can access the contents efficiently and timely. In no time we can access those contents according to our needs. We can track the progress of students. We can get the statistics about the students. We can get the knowledge about the students' difficulties in gaining access to the educational content. It also embeds many administrative features, and it is a live demonstrator. It is integrated with various tools such as chats, forums, emails, etc. So the learning management system is a mechanism of controlling the delivery and the access of educational content through various media, and especially through interactive media like internet. Definitely there might be some constraints. The technology is new and constraints are always there. Still we have to develop a physical infrastructure regarding technological development, quality content, and we have to arrange for more financial resources so that the quality of programs boosts. There has to be a legal framework. We are still understanding the phenomena of virtual and its applications. There might be some legal framework so that the political boundaries may be recalled, and the national and integration legal frameworks are created so that the distribution and the production of content takes place smoothly. There might be also constraint regarding the telecommunication monopolies and restrictive regulations, accreditation and certification, and intellectual property rights. These are some of the constraints, but definitely we will able to overcome those constraints, and the ICT will be the new future of India. Now we have Consortium for Educational Communication. It's an autonomous body of UGC in the field of creating high quality content in higher education in India. Now the agency, the Autonomous Institution of CEC, was established by University Grants Commission in 1993. It seeks to address the higher education needs of the country by way of extensive use of ICT tools and various modes of communication such as TV, EduSat networks, and internet. CEC Consortium for Educational Communication engages in the production and distribution of educational programs benefiting millions of students, teachers and researchers across the country, and I must say even outside the country. We are creating the content through our production centers. There are 22 educational media research centers across the country which are engaged in the production of high quality e-content and high quality video content. We have professionally trained and skilled manpower which works on state-of-art equipments, various leading universities and institutions of higher learning. Media centers are entrusted with the responsibility of production of curriculum and enrichment-based educational video programs and e-content on specified subjects. The media centers are located in all important regions in the country, ranging from north to south, from Srinagar to Calicut and from Ahmedabad to Dibrugarh. The CEC is engaged in the following domain areas. It's engaged in the production of content, higher education content through videos and e-content. It is engaged in the dissemination part through broadcast and non-broadcast media, which we will discuss later. What we offer, what the CEC offers. CEC offers enrichment-based video programs, e-content on undergraduate subjects. Right now 29 subjects have been developed as an e-content, video programs on undergraduate subjects and LORs, that is learning object repositories. These are short concepts which are discussed in brief, and they are conceptualized and they are discussed in brief, various concepts. We have production. CEC and its media centers engage in the production of two types of educational video programs. One is curriculum based and another is enrichment based. These programs cover different subjects across 4 streams of subjects like art, culture, literature, language, social sciences, management and other professional courses, natural and applied sciences, engineering and medical sciences. CEC now has a knowledge repository of more than 20,000 such programs on different topics and subjects available in English and Hindi. The entire collection is in the process of being digitized to render the video programs a more user-friendly and digitally compatible ensemble with a long shelf life and enhanced portability. CEC is also engaged in the development of e-content. CEC also develops e-content courseware in various subjects as per the UGC model curricula for undergraduate students under the National Mission on Education through ICT NME ICT project of MHRD. We are into developing e-content modules, the complete courseware which includes the topic video, its objective, full transcript, text, assignment, FAQs, references, etc. available in easily downloadable format. Presently, CEC engaged in developing e-content on 87 UG subjects and has by now more than 5,000 e-content modules in its kitty. Short learning objects. These are short duration videos embedded with text and multimedia content based on frequently asked questions on random topics across different subjects for the enhanced learning experience. Nearly 2,000 SLOs are available on the CEC's website. CEC runs a 24/7 UGC higher education channel. It's called VIAS. The round-the-clock transmission is based on curriculum as well as enrichment program where educational content is broadcast on various subjects to supplement the classroom teaching. 8 hours of fresh transmission daily. Programs derived from 4 subject bands. The channel is also available on free-to-air DTH platform of Prasar Bharati, DD Direct Plus, and private DTH platforms such as Dish TV and Digital Cable Network. If we talk about non-broadcast modes, CEC has a wonderful education portal It's www.ccugc.nic.in. It's a major platform for the dissemination of e-content and educational video programs. To widen its reach, it also webcasts the VAS channel. The channel is also webcast through Government of India portal www.webcast.gov.in and MHRD educational web portal www.sakshat.ac.in. This user-friendly avenue allows students to easily search and download their course material and presents tremendous opportunities for precision learning. We also disseminate our educational content through live lecture transmission through EduSet network. CEC has established UGC CEC nationwide EduSet network for regular live transmission of the lectures delivered by the various subject experts, which takes place from the CEC Media Center studios, migratory teaching end. Students from different parts of the country can raise questions live through video conferencing, and the same are replied in real time by the experts, and that the CEC constitutes the real place of learning, employing various ICTs and virtual education.
Yes, as you explained how important role CEC is playing in imparting higher education. Apart from CEC, we'll talk about the CEC also, but if we talk about this higher education, do you think through this virtual media, education comes under one umbrella?
Yes, I think virtual education is the panacea of education everywhere, be it the BRICS nation or is the developing nations or be it the developed nations. Virtual education can address the education needs of these countries. They can supplement the educational traditional content, because virtual education are high in the they in the higher dose of, they have the higher dose of visual and graphic representation, which aids in the learning process of students.
Definitely, it aids in the development of students as well as development of education further. There is one more point which appears into my mind, that we always talk about the brain drain, but brain drain we talk about from one country to another. My context regarding the brain drain is through virtual media. We can say this: there is a brain drain within the country. If a certain expert, a certain professor sitting in or imparting education in a particular state of a country, through virtual media, it is easy for the student to get benefit from that particular admission.
I think brain drain is the most unfortunate part, and I bet no country can escape the process of brain drain. But the thing is that we have to control the brain drain. We should act in such a manner that the brain drain does not affect our intellect, our country's human resource and the ability, and we have to teach our students the highest possible quality of education. For that, virtual education, it can be a great help. Suppose we have scientists working abroad. Suppose there is a scientist working in USA and he migrated to USA and we need his services. So through virtually we can contact him and we can have his guidance, we can have his expertise through virtually.
That means we
so it can counter the problem of brain drain in India and especially in developing countries.
That means we can say in this context we can make education global. That is, we can exchange education.
That is quite an important dimension that you are pointing towards. Globalization of education. We can have experts from London, we can have experts from New York, we can have experts from other European countries, and we can have experts from Japan together, sitting together virtually virtually at one place. So we need not spend a lot of money on their travel, we need not spend a lot of money on the infrastructure, on their visits. So we just can create a virtual space. We can get all those experts from various fields and from various countries, and they can discuss and they can help in creating a knowledge pool that is a more globalized, in a more globalized content and in a more globalized fashion.
So, when we talk about this cost-effective education, do you feel so that virtual education do so?
Yes, I strongly feel that virtual education is comparatively cheaper than traditional education. I don't mean that we should replace our traditional systems through virtual education at all, though in the near future it might be the case, but right now we need to supplement our traditional teaching, and in some areas where it's not possible to get the expertise, we can call in the services of virtual education, and through virtual education we can compensate the quality content in our educational content.
That a student doesn't have to think more about whether
Students,
he has to
they
buy a
don't-
certain
like
books.
the CEC is running VAS channel and they don't charge even a penny from the students. It's absolutely free. All the content available through our website and available through VAS channel, it's entirely free for the students. Then they don't even need to pay a penny for that, for viewing that program.
And the student get the desired content on the desired subject, if we talk about CEC alone. But sir, when it is a matter of awareness, when the students throughout the country, they didn't know that what CEC doing, what on our part we need to do?
We need to take CEC further. We need to make it
From the awareness point of view, we
from
need
the
to.
yes, people are getting to know. People are getting the UGC, because frankly speaking, when I was a kid, I used to watch UGC CEC programs. So it's very nostalgic for me also, and it was very informative. I still remember during my student days, I used to watch VAS channel, and it was quite informative. And the same is the case with most of the students.
Yes,
they
sir,
feel the same way.
You are very true, sir. Since our childhood, we have been watching these programs, and through that we are learning a lot. And if we talk about the rural India, where the reach of these programs are at most, do you think that this virtual media, or if we talk about CEC alone, that as you said in this lecture alone, that it is in some ways eliminating digital divide? Do you feel so? Yes, it is eliminating?
Yes, definitely. Digital divide, as I discussed earlier also, like we have a rural-urban divide, we have a digital divide, and we have rich-poor divide. So in order to bridge the divide, in order to bridge the gap, it's very pertinent that we switch to virtual education. Virtual education's reach is not a problem at all, I must say, nowadays, because the mobile phone, you can access all the programs. There is a reach. I mean, VAS channel is being telecast all over India. Reach is not a problem, but the access might be the problem. We have to ensure that people have gadgets to access the media content. People have social and cultural acceptability towards those gadgets, and towards we have to create a new culture of education, we can say.
Yes, sir. Definitely, we have to develop a new culture of education. But if we differentiate between the real classroom teaching as well as between this virtual classroom teaching, what do you feel that do virtual classrooms have actually superseded the real classrooms?
Virtual classrooms have not been superseded. The role of virtual education is to supplement the traditional education. And if possible, in the near future, it might replace the traditional system, I must say. But at this point of time, the role of virtual education is of supplementary nature. It supplements, it complements our traditional teaching. It does not seek to eradicate the traditional education system. It complements, it helps in rather growing and in the growth and evolution of traditional system, but through modern means. The institutions with bricks and mortar, they can remain, but the means and the technology has to change.
The technology has to change, as you said, that it complements in some way or the another. It is aiding the students as well as aiding the a professor or an academician who is teaching. Because in a classroom, a professor or academician faces a lots of problems that there are students who are unable to understand the particular lecture in classroom. If with the help of, for example, a DVD or a CD with the content, if the student is imparted education, it will become easier. Do you feel so?
Yes, it becomes very easy to grasp the subject, and like a professor can simultaneously teach hundreds and thousands of students. In normal traditional classroom, how many students can you teach? Maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, not more than that. But in case you are switching over to virtual education, if you are teaching through virtual education, a professor in the given real time can teach lakhs of students, thousands of students, lakhs of students across the globe. So that is the advantage, I mean.
Across the globe, many a times we have seen that a professor teaching in Jammu and Kashmir is reaching in the south with the help of this virtual media, and that is live through live presentations. And sir, but another question arises that is the interactivity same in the virtual classes as in the real classes?
Virtual education, the most important contribution of virtual education could be to stop the academic inbreeding. Like you said, that a professor in Jammu and Kashmir, or the professor in Rajasthan, Haryana, or in any state, in any place, he teaches students from particular place. So it's a sort of academic inbreeding. So if you are switching towards virtual education, we can stop that academic inbreeding, and we can create a globalized and a vast and huge audience of students from all walks of life, from all places, from different religions, from different communities, from different countries. So it's very promoting in that nature. It promotes the hybridity in education.
Yes, sir, you laid this very important point that this led to the hybridity in education, because a number of times and couple of times we have seen that every area, every region of the country have its certain economics, and every professor or every academician has his style of teaching. But in that context, the education becomes very restricted. So if we go through the virtual media, in some way or the another, on a particular topic, a student who is accessing the virtual media, it becomes easier for him or her to access various perspectives on that particular topic. Do you feel so? Is it so?
Yes, moreover, I would also like to add to your point that the virtual education, lectures through virtual education, they will make the real education more competitive. A professor or the teacher will be inclined more towards inducing high quality in his or her lectures through virtual education. He or she needs to be very qualified, and he needs to grow very professionally and personally in order to impart virtual education.
In imparting virtual education, sir, apart from if we talk about the classroom teaching, or we are reaching through virtual media through particular classes, what else do you think could be beneficial if we use this virtual media? Do you feel so? If the research kind of thing will aid to the education? If we talk about the research area alone, do you feel so?
I feel that the lots of research could be taken up in the field of information and communication technology, and definitely it's going to help because we know we are interested in virtual education. We are also interested in virtual education which is specially developed for developing countries. Like we have problems of electricity, we have problems of information technology hardware, and we have problems of infrastructure. But these problems have to be solved, and these problems have to be taken care of. Suppose I give you an example. We need to understand the mechanics of virtual education, which works, because virtual education in the rural field would be different from urban areas. Accessing the content would be the same from rural areas and urban areas, but the access point or the access mode would be different. So we need to understand the mind of rural students. We need to understand the mind of urban students. Then only we can offer a specialized service, and it will happen all on the basis of research that we undertake.
We often trace the point that there is a difference in exposure of the students, one who studies in the metropolitan cities as well as one who studies in the rural areas. That is all because of the practical exposure which the rural student wouldn't be able to get. But if we use virtual media in such a way that, for example, if certain activity is going one of the biggest or the greatest lab within the country, if through virtual media the student is in rural areas able to access that, would exposure will become easier for the student?
Yeah, definitely exposure would become easier for him, but we also need to understand that a rural, we need to increase the literacy, we need to increase the technological literacy among students in village. An urban student, he or she could be very much he must be very much adept in learning new technology. He must be using Facebook or WhatsApp and other applications for communication. But in case of rural students, students are not very much well versed with the use of, and they are not comfortable with the technology as such.
They are not technology friendly, we can say that.
We need to address that.
We need to address that. And one important point which I would like to ask you, that do we need to have our content multilingual? So that because as we talk about India alone, that there are numerous people talking in numerous languages. If we digitize this content in multilingual languages, I mean in different languages, access will increase?
Yes, I strongly advocate that the production of media content in various languages of India, it's going to help the cause of CEC and virtual education. So language is always a great emotional factor. So
language is a great factor, of course, though Hindi, English and other many languages are very prominent, and students are accessing through that language.
They prefer their own language.
And we can touch their hearts if we are able to get along with them with the particular language.
Yes, we would be able to persuade our policy, we would be able to persuade on our points of virtual education if we use their language. Persuasion becomes very easy.
So what else you feel that in the present context, the problems we are facing in education alone, and if those problems are not highlighted, it would be a problem in virtual education also?
Yes, very important question. The main problem in Indian education, there might be many, but the problem is of quality. We do not get quality teachers, and it's still a great problem in India. It's been pointed out at various platforms elsewhere also. So in order to compensate that, through virtual education, we can rope in experts, and we can rope in teachers and professors who are devoted to the cause of higher education. We can get them and they can give lectures. We can use their expertise in developing our curricula. We can use their expertise in research and other parts of higher education learning. So we can do that, and there are many other problems in higher education, like infrastructure and all. That will be taken care of.
That would be, of course, be taken care of.
Virtual education can take care of very well.
It can take care of very well. Sir, apart from, if we talk about these live lectures, what are the other mediums through which the students can access to the content? Because every time it is not possible to go through the live lectures.
Yes. That's why I said that the virtual education, it leads to democratization in every field. Access is not a problem nowadays. You can access the content through our free-to-air DTH channel Vyas. You can access the content through our website. You can access the content through. Actually, we are also running a newsletter, monthly newsletter, and it has all the schedule of programs and lectures. And it's available on our website. You can download the newsletter and you can see the schedule of all the programs which are to be telecast, and schedule of EduSet lectures and all. It also has a very good columns and features regarding virtual education and technology.
Definitely, the students who are watching us, and if you want to know more about CEC, definitely they can go through the monthly newsletter of our, as well as all our live lectures which we carry are uploaded on YouTube. You can definitely access them if they are unable to watch these lecture of ours.
Yes, even YouTube has caused very much democratization of education. You can see our CEC lectures on YouTube at your disposal.
And as well as we carry our these recorded lectures, that is the lectures which are transmitted.
Even on
they are
mobile
further
phone,
recorded.
smartphone, everybody is having smartphone nowadays, whether it's a rural area or urban area. So smartphone share is increasing, and you can access our content through smartphone also if you have the internet.
Definitely, because we get the feedback from our students only who watch us, and they continuously ask us when this particular lecture is going to come, and what is the timing. So definitely they can access our website through which they would be able to know on what a particular time our lecture comes. And sir, very congratulations to you that we
Thank
have
you.
started with our 4 hours transmission with the staff of the CEC, as well as under the guidance of our Honorable Director Professor Rajbir Singh. We are able to carry this 4-hour transmission with the help of which we are reaching to the students more and more.
Yes, definitely, and we are realizing the dreams of virtual education and education for all, quality education for all and everybody in India.
So one more question similar to the digital divide is you talked about the social divide. In what context you raise the point that in some way or the another it is eliminating the social divide, that is the, if you talk about virtual education?
Like social divide, I talked about it. People from rural areas, they are devoid of technology, and they don't have much money also. Economically, they are also not well off like their urban counterparts. And socially, they are also still bound with traditions and many even traditions and culture that might hinder the process of learning and education, some of their traditions. So we need to change the tradition, we need to change the outlook of our people, and we need to change their outlook towards education. We need to understand the importance of education and the importance of quality education, which is obviously lacking in rural areas still, and we need to compensate that through ICT, the use of ICT.
Definitely, we need to do, and we are attempting for every possible thing through which we would be able to reach the students across the country. Sir, you talked about the virtual universities which are required. Do you feel so if these virtual universities...
I think there is a great scope of virtual universities, and in the time to come, there you will see the expansion of virtual universities. Right now, it's not, still a fancy idea, but it's going to it's going to gain currency, and it will be the future of our Indian education system, the virtual universities and or any virtual institutions.
So with this help of these virtual universities, would it be possible to connect the virtual colleges, virtual institutions, or we will having, or we can attempt for independent virtual schools, virtual colleges, virtual universities?
I think then there would be no need for affiliating virtual colleges. Virtual means it's a centralized university, and it's very much accessible to a person, whether he is residing in some remote areas, hinterlands, or he is residing in urban areas. So it's not a matter, it's not a problem here.
Like we have heard a lot about the community radios, most of the educational institutions, they can opt for the license for the community radios. Likewise, if universities or colleges may get such kind of licensing that they can open their own.
You have raised a good point here, that community radios, there are though they are not as costly as our traditional AM and FM stations, but the community radios, they are facing problem of funds and for running the radio stations and for creating infrastructure for community radio stations. These problems could be addressed through virtual universities. We have campus radios on our traditional university campuses. If we establish an online radio that is being run from a virtual campus, it would be great. I mean, it's free and it's very much accessible. People can upload their programs, their
Their lectures and
their
anything like
lectures.
that. But do you feel so that is, if we talk in the terms of the cost, if we go the same thing as the community radios, same in the same way, if we run the community televisions, it might be cost effective, because in setting up a radio and setting up a television, it's a slight different thing.
Yeah, I think internet will replace our traditional media of reach and access. It will be ultimately, it might be replaced, and it's very cost effective media. Internet, it's very cost effective medium, and it has a great opportunity for both for reach and access. And if community radio stations or even other radio stations, there are right now hundreds and thousands of radio stations which are being run online, and there is virtually not a great cost that is involved in their running and maintenance.
We hope, like community radios, we would have community televisions, especially in the area of education. It would make the future more bright. Sir, what else you think could be done in the virtual education alone, which have not done so far?
I think we should create not only universities but many other virtual institutions. They should have the virtual universities should have the power of conferring degrees. That's why they would be called universities in the real sense, and then they can create, apart from imparting virtual education, they can, in a supplementary way, they can call experts in the real time. I mean, physically the experts could be called, and they can discuss apart from the virtual educational content.
So, on the similar lines, that is on the virtual education, what is your appeal to all the educationists, academicians, institutions who are making educations easier, to make it more easier and more accessible to the students? What is your say?
I think we must use, even in our traditional education, I think we must use technology. We should replace our traditional classrooms with smart classrooms, with all those interactive boards, and we have interactive systems, multimedia systems, laptops, projectors, so that the environment, educational environment is created, technological environment is created, and the environment, the educational environment becomes more immersive through the use of technology.
Through the use of technology, as well as I would also ask you and to appeal the students to access the technology, all the students who might be watching us from the rural areas also, that how technology is important, and if we have certain facilities, we need to avail them.
I think that the next leap in the field of virtual education would be the use of 3D technology and the 3D content. That would be the real future, and that would be the real you can say fun of it, to see the educational content in the form of 3D. 3D is definitely more real than the flat 2D image. So it can create a content in a more realistic way. If you want to, suppose if you want to learn the parts of a flower, so the flower would be created literally in front of you through using the 3D image, and it would be then very easy to learn the parts of particular flower if the flower is in front of you.
Definitely, with the powerful medium of television, one can definitely, with the help of this visual media, not only can learn but can perceive different things which would be possible, and CEC is making continuous efforts from time to time to make education easier for you. So what is your say, because now we have very less time left with us, what do you think, what else we can do as a part of CEC?
CEC is presently engaged in the production of e-content. CEC engaged in the production of educational videos, and many they are also engaged in the production of EduSet live lectures. I think the dream come true would be like the production of 3D content and the establishing of virtual universities across India, I would say. So we have to establish the universities which are based entirely on technology and which are based entirely on virtual technologies.
Definitely, we pray for the best and attempt for the best with this motive and with this goal. CEC, thank you. Thanks you, basically, are all the students and viewers who are continuously accessing our lectures, accessing all the contents we are producing. Thank you so very much, and thank you, sir, for being with us in this EduSet lecture of ours. Thank you.